Hey everyone, welcome Jack, Mike, Cole, and others. We're going to get started here in just a minute while people join the room. Uh, Seeing a number of people jumping in, so we're excited to get going here. But Anthony and Colin, Deborah, seeing a bunch of people for the first time here. So we're excited for you guys to join. We're going to go through today a number of things related to both e-commerce SEO, how AI is kind of playing a part in all of those things, and we're excited to get going, and we'll have some questions for you guys, and at the end open up for questions from all of you. So gonna jump in to some of the initial slides and get going. Wanted to first introduce myself. I'm Dan Hinckley. I'm a co-founder of Go Fish Digital, an agile company. We are an award-winning agency. We partner with Google Premier for our paid advertising as well, a Moz recommended list, and we've done a number of campaigns with our different clients that have won US Search Awards, including just recently an award we won with Down and Feather, an e-commerce partner of ours related to Best SEO campaign.
And hey everyone, I'm Chris Long. I'm the VP of Marketing at Go Fish Digital, an agile company. So I head up our own internal marketing efforts. A big part of that is also our internal thought leadership. So our editorial strategy, webinar strategy, organic social strategy, all of that. One thing we're super proud of here is just the amount of thought leadership that we're able to help produce. We really strongly believe in giving back to the community, creating tools, sharing our processes, those types of things. We're fortunate enough to be featured in a lot of different publications, everything from traditional SEO publications like Moz, Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, all the way to more other traditional publications like Washington Post, Adweek, NPR, those types of publications, Next Web. So super excited to have you here, or have you all here, and present some of our e-commerce SEO findings.
Yeah, so one of the things we also just want to let everyone know is we do work with a number of e-commerce customers and clients. We've worked with smaller agencies, startups, help them all the way to grow through acquisition through large retailers. Have a lot of experience and expertise related to e-commerce, and we're excited to share some of the most recent things that we've learned. We wanted to kind of get started by kind of laying the groundwork for what we're currently seeing with AI and search, and kind of how it started to change things. One of the big things that we saw is that language models and AI for the first time started to bring real competition, and so to Google. This is different than what you might think is like other search engines that provide a similar product that may be inferior. This is something that really kind of is changing the landscape of search in the way that people find and receive answers to their questions, and even find and purchase products. So we're going to talk a bit about that and how we got to where we're at today. Oh. One of the things we did want to do just to start off and kind of make sure that we can then incorporate some of the problems and challenges that you guys are having is we've got a poll for you guys today just to help us understand what are some of the challenges that you're seeing with SEO, and maybe information and insights that we can kind of tailor. So popping up a poll on your screen now, if you can share details related to that, then we can incorporate that into some of our feedback and answers today. So seeing some interesting insights coming in, lots of concerns across the board with all of these options. So that's definitely something that's good. We're going to touch on a lot of these points, AI overviews, how the search results are changing, what's happening in the layouts, technical problems that you might have, and different ways that you can use technologies to kind of solve those problems. And all of those are coming today. So about 5 seconds if you haven't yet kind of submitted an answer to that, that'd be great. Counting down just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll move on to the next. So when did search competition really start? And it started a couple years ago with the release of ChatGPT. This is kind of laying the foundation for us. Why do we know this is the starting point of change for kind of the search landscape that we see today? One of those is that ChatGPT grew faster than any other platform in the past. It quickly reached to 100 million users just a couple of years ago. Its growth in the fact that it was answering questions, not just providing list of results to find answers from, caused a code red inside of Google. It made their CEO issue an initiative internally to define their AI approach and how they were going to integrate it into their products. What this meant is that we really started to see these differences. You can kind of see on the screen is that they responded in two general ways. One is that they've released their own language model, Gemini, that competes with ChatGPT and some of these other platforms directly. But then they also wanted to start to integrate AI overviews directly into the search results themselves so that they could provide answers to people or help them find answers faster than having to do search themselves. I believe that Google even said that they're going to do the searching for you moving forward with AI overviews, which really started to kind of change the way that they are approaching these things. But even though Google kind of responded with a pretty aggressive position and they have so much market share, it hasn't slowed down OpenAI's ChatGPT. It continues to grow. It's now one of the largest websites, top 10 websites in the world. It's past Bing in terms of regular concurrent users, and it's continuing with its momentum even today. And in fact, many of you probably saw that last month OpenAI released kind of a direct competition to Google with their ChatGPT search function. So not only can you have conversations and get information from language models, but like ChatGPT, but they also provide a search engine that's powered by Bing and some of their own search technologies. We're going to talk a little bit about some of those search technologies, how they work, and how we can leverage them a little bit later on in this webinar. But it's definitely been something that's laid this foundation for a real competition in the world of search and answer engines. So you guys mentioned earlier that one of the things you're focused on is like not only that AI overviews exist, but also the search results are changing. And so we've been seeing this too. Google's really kind of changing their search results to be more similar to something you might find on Amazon or Walmart, where a search result page is really kind of a product listing pages. Some of the studies we've done recently have found that they've included, up to 50 plus product listings for an individual query, not just category listing pages that you can go define those. They've added filter and selection options across the side and the top, like you might find on some of those other platforms. And it's really changing the landscape of the way that people will interact with Google to find their e-commerce purchasing opportunities. And so with those changes, we'll also need to think about SEO differently. How can we adjust where we're spending our time and focusing? When do we need to look at product listing pages? When do we need to look at category pages and collection pages? And how do we make decisions related to that? In addition to that, Google has been integrating AI overviews into the search results for e-commerce queries. So we're seeing a lot of different types of results and questions and answering of those questions related to products, not just to informational queries that people may see. And it's something that's going to be driving things in the future. Addition to that, Google's shopping experience is testing a lot of these new AI technologies. How can they integrate language models to help organize information, present products and websites that you can go to purchase products and tools that you may need. And we often see that Google Shopping is kind of a forerunner for what they integrate into their natural organic search eventually. So as we see these technologies kind of be testing on the Google Shopping tab and page, the ones that do well, we anticipate and expect Google to integrate into just natural search. So being familiar with this layout and what's coming can help us prepare for decisions into the future. So AI overviews and SearchGPT may be impacting e-commerce, and they're changing things as we move forward, but we want to understand a little bit about how much. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those details before building out some specific tactics and strategies that you guys can take away to help with your marketing plans moving forward. So we talked about AI overviews being rolled out into e-commerce, but in this graph that we can see from BrightEdge, compared to some of the other industries and topics, e-commerce is still not a heavy AI overview search result experience. For logged in users, it's about 10% of e-commerce related queries. For those that are not logged in, it's about 1.5%. We've been looking even just earlier today, kind of over the last few months, the trends, and every day for all of the industries, AI overviews kind of ticks up slowly. So we do anticipate that, a year from now, the number of AI overviews integrated into e-commerce will be significantly higher. So now is the time to plan and act according to that type of information to help us really understand what it is that we need to do and how we can integrate into those strategies. Um, One of the things that's helpful for us is to think about, hey, if ChatGPT is improving in market share and Google is changing their results, what is that going to mean for a user experience and how are they different? As you can kind of see in the screenshots, one of the big differences between ChatGPT search for e-commerce and Google is the inclusion of ads. So above the fold experience for e-commerce for Google is very ad heavy and something that they features that kind of buying experience is advertisements up top, requiring user interaction to scroll before they can get to the organic results. ChatGPT is the opposite experience. Right now, there is no ads included. Most ChatGPT users are paying customers at this time. As more users get familiar with ChatGPT, and if they continue to use it as a free product, it may be something that we see ads in the future on their platform. But right now, it's an organic experience that includes results from retailers, publishers, affiliate sites, and is just a different experience. So when we're building marketing and e-commerce plans for these different ways that people may find your products and solutions, one of the things is to think about is how does the organic side play related to search, and how do we make sure we have a strong balance between those two? Not only are people using different platforms, but one of the things that we see just continually is that more and more users are using voice search than they have in the past. And then you may say that it's like, well, this isn't necessarily new. Google's made voice search that's been available for a long time. That's true. And we even see that even today that there's about 27% of users using voice search. But one of the things that's different is that language models make voice search much more conversational and much more intelligent, that can really change the buyer's experience. One of the things that's related to this that we would want to recommend people keep track of is the launch of ChatGPT as part of a future version of iOS on your iPhones. This was going to be rolling out in the next couple months, where users will be able to get answers from ChatGPT if they don't feel that they're getting the results that they need from Siri. So it's something that there more and more users, maybe even for the first time, are going to be exposed to language models for the first time through their phones and primarily through options like voice search. Um, and so that different experience, we wanted to kind of highlight what that might be like. So I'm going to share a short video recording of a conversation I had with ChatGPT just to highlight the example of what it could be like in the future as people are interacting with these devices and these technologies moving forward. Um, for this example, it's a conversation I had recently related to my son's birthday and trying to understand and think about what presents I should consider for a 17-year-old boy. So I'm gonna play this and then talk about it just shortly afterwards. Oh, let's see. Might need you, Krista. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, my son's 17th birthday is coming up. He's really into soccer, and I'm wondering if you can help me think of 3 or 4 gifts that I could get him related to soccer.
Hey Dan, for a soccer loving 17-year-old, here are a few gift ideas. New soccer cleats. A high quality pair of cleats from his favorite brand could really up his game. A jersey from a popular soccer team or player, especially if it's a limited edition or signed one. 3. Soccer ball. A top quality match ball or a ball with a unique design could be a hit. Training equipment, something like an agility ladder, cones, or rebounder net for solo practice. These should score you some major points.
Let's think about the soccer cleats. Is there anything that I can do to make them a little bit more unique?
Absolutely. You can customize the cleats to make them truly one of a kind. 1. Personalized colors. Many brands offer the option to choose custom colors for various parts of the cleats. 2. Add his name or number. You can often have his name, initials, or jersey number embroidered or printed on the cleats. Unique insoles. Consider adding custom insoles with custom laces. Swap out the standard laces for ones in his favorite colors or with cool patterns. These custom touches can make the cleats feel extra special and personal for his big day.
Do any companies offer customizations, and what do 17-year-olds say in the reviews about them?
Yes, several major brands offer customizations for soccer cleats. Nike, Adidas, and Puma are popular choices. On their websites, you can select various customization options like colors, personal inscriptions, and even specific materials. As for reviews, 17-year-olds often praise the unique look and personal touch of customized cleats. They love having gear that stands out on the field and feels uniquely theirs. The comfort and performance of the cleats, combined with the personalized elements, make them a big hit among teenagers.
All right, so we think this is a kind of a strong demo for what a search experience or an answer experience might be like for individuals in the future, interacting with language models and kind of determining how to buy things. And we want to provide recommendations on how we can think about what do we do for our marketing initiatives, from our website initiatives to power that. So in this example, asked a general broad question about gifts for a 17-year-old, got ideas related to that. The language model provided me brand options. It provided me customization options. It provided details about what other 17-year-olds would think. All of those things were provided in about a 2-minute clip, voice powered and interacted. And in the future, that could then push and lead people to conversion points because they had a lot of that experience off of your site. It may mean that conversion rates increase because they're simply getting all the information before they come to your site. So we really need to make sure that what we feed and power into language models is accurate and representative and includes details like reviews. Maybe we want to segment and organize reviews by demographics or what people are thinking so that we can really provide a custom user experience in terms of the information and how it's structured and presented to others. So creating SEO content that attracts and converts high intent shoppers, kind of building off of what we just talked about. How do we make sure that we get content in a way that is structured and organized and that provides the information so that when they're ready to buy, they're further down the funnel, and how do we do so? To do that, we just wanted to understand, have another poll for you guys is, what is the main goal for improving your e-commerce SEO currently? So give you guys about a minute or so to answer this question, but would love to get your insights into kind of what's your main goal, where are you looking to see things? Is it traffic? Is it sales? Is it just higher rankings, brand authority, market share? What are those details that are most important to you? So seeing some interesting results, both combination of just ranking higher and increasing that organic traffic. Brand authority also is important, and as of course sales is coming in as something that's important to a lot of people. So that's definitely something that we're going to talk about. How can we do all of these? How can we increase organic traffic? How can we improve the rankings for you guys in the search results, and then making sure that leads to improved sales. While also, like everything with SEO, the goal is to get more for our efforts to reduce that cost per acquisition. So about 5 seconds left to answer that question, and then we'll keep moving on. But appreciate that insight. Right now, increasing that organic traffic is really the primary goal for organic, and we're going to talk more about how we can do that. So we discussed with earlier kind of this process of making sure we provide information, not just for language models, but also for the user experience, because people still do vast majority of people still do purchase and make decisions through using search engines. Even if we're preparing for the future, there's opportunities to help with search engines. And so we're big believers that especially for e-commerce is that while we're most interested in kind of being in front of people at that conversion stage, right when they're ready to buy, that Google's algorithm, through their modeling and their structures and the patents that they've put together, they really want to reward websites that are part of this full buyer's journey, that they're part of the top of the funnel with awareness, and that they provide details that would help people consider the products that they're purchasing before they make that conversion point. Part of this is that Google kind of has a way to say that if you want to skip the line and be part of that initiative right at the conversion point, the way you do that is through their paid platform. But their organic algorithm is really structured to make sure that they reward people that are part of a user's experience all the way from the beginning, from awareness, all the way down to being a loyal customer. And one of the ways that we're seeing is more so than ever, kind of each core algorithm update that Google releases, as we see more and more personalization in the results. If you search any particular query, you'll often see next to a result, there's kind of 3 dots that are going vertically. If you click on those results, a side window will pop out, and it will tell you kind of details about why that result was included in the search result page for your particular query. And Google includes details for logged in users and lets you know, like, hey, this was included because it was personalized for you, or it wasn't personalized. So you can kind of get a sense of, hey, is Google including this information because of what I've done in the past? So Google has said that they will personalize search result based on your search history in Google, what you've looked for in the past, any type of ads or searches that you've clicked on, and any type of content that you've discovered, liked or disliked across the user experience that you've had inside of Chrome. Google has access to kind of everything that you do inside of Chrome, and they use all of that information to help with personalization. So what does that mean is that if you are part of if your site or your website is part of people's full buyer's journey at the top, then you have an opportunity to be included down at the conversion point in the personal buying funnel. So if we want to be at the top of the funnel so that we can be part of the conversion consideration in organic search with personalization and other Google algorithm features, what are things that we can do? So some of those things are, we can include informational topics related to informational keywords. These might be like how to, what, when, where, those type of queries, like they're related to the products or the industries that you're providing services and solutions for. In addition to that, the next thing is like comparatives, so like, shoes versus boots, gloves versus mittens, those type of things can help people as they're like just beginning their decision about like what it is that they want to buy to help them solve the problem that they have. In addition to that, other ways to think about informational topics could be seasonal. Is it a birthday? Is it a holiday? Is it they're going to do something that's a specific event, like a sporting venue, tailgating, or are they camping? Those type of information awareness angles can help you kind of get in front of people at the top of their buying experience. And then even health just related keywords. Is this good for me? Is it healthy? Is it going to cause me to be tired, or any of those type of informations can be good awareness type topics and information that you can write about related to your products that can get in front of users and increase the likelihood that you appear in organic search results as users move down the funnel. So we also want to provide some additional tools. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris to talk about some of these AI technologies and how we can leverage them to make better decisions related to e-commerce SEO.
Yep, sounds good. So now we're going to kind of move into a little bit more, even more of the tactical side of things, right? Like how can we leverage AI and like AI insights to actually improve the SEO of our own commerce sites, right? How can we take some of these findings and help that actually drive SEO results? So this requires a little bit of backstory, a little bit of education on how LLMs work. Some of you might be super familiar with this. Some of you still might be learning. A little bit of a longer walk to get there, but promise that it's worth it in the end. So let's take a step back and talk about how an LLM creates a response. LLM, or large language model, what it is at its core is a predictive engine. It is guessing the word that is statistically most likely to come next. A lot of people in the past have referred to it as autocomplete on steroids. That's a fairly apt analogy of what these LLMs are doing. So here in the screenshot, you can see, hey, I type in what's the best way to do SEO competitive research. And then it goes down and says, hey, of my corpus, right, which the word that's statistically most likely to come next. Hey, start comes 1% of the time, define comes 1% of the time, but identify comes in 92% of cases. That's the word that we're going to start the response with, and then it continues to go down. So that's a very key point, right? It's like when you're querying an LLM, or when you're putting a prompt into an LLM, it's not saying, hey, if you ask it a medical question, it's not saying, hey, I'm going to look at Healthline and WebMD and aggregate all these resources from in that way. No, it's predicting the word that's statistically most likely to come next. So that is how it's working at its core. One of the ways that it's able to do that is through this concept of embeddings. Embeddings are basically, or an embedding model is basically the LLM's worldview, its entire understanding. So what it basically does is say, hey, we have a piece of text that we type in. It's going to run that piece of text through an embedding model and then convert it into an actual value pair, an actual numeric value. And here you can see different text elements represented as text and as text vectors. So that's one of the things it's doing. It's taking the text that you input and it's converting that into an actual numeric value. It actually does that with more than just text. That's what it does with images. That's what it does with video. It takes that content, that rich content, converts it into a numeric value, and then that's how it's able to kind of graph out and provide meaning behind a lot of the inputs that you provide in LLM. One of the things that does then, it then plots that on a vector database. It's a very simple example, but they actually use, instead of 2 dimensions, 1600 dimensions was what OpenAI uses. Google's Vertex AI uses around 600 to 700, I believe. But this is a very simplified kind of example where it's like, hey, we've taken this text, we've converted it into a numeric representation. Now we can see how these relationships actually live within what's called a vector database. So here you can see on the very left, SEO and PPC are close together because they are in similar groups, right? However, some of these other concepts, they're much further away. Once you've taken text and converted it into a numeric value, then what you can do is actually perform math against this, right? And actually see, hey, how similar are any 2 given points within the vector database. So this is what's called the concept of cosine similarity. You can actually measure the angle between any 2 given points on the vector database, and that angle will mathematically tell you, are they related to each other? Are they not related to each other, right? What's more relevant and what's not relevant is a very, very critical concept of LLMs. It's how they know what to return and what not to, right? So if you're asking it about something about SEO and PPC, if you ask it something about SEO, it might return information about PPC because it can say, hey, these concepts are fairly related to each other. However, if you ask it for information about PPC, you're highly unlikely to get content back about shark or basketballs because numerically these concepts have low cosine similarity. It can say that these concepts are statistically not likely to come next when it forms a response. So LLMs use this concept of cosine similarity. However, we think there's bigger implications than this just in LLMs. We believe that search engines, there's a lot of evidence to provide that search engines like Google use this exact same concept when they're actually returning the search results. In fact, there's a lot of evidence that show Google uses embeddings. There's actually a book that one of their VPs of search wrote for Stanford on. He wrote a book on information retrieval. And here you can see this passage. I'll just read it. It says, as a consequence, we can use cosine similarity between the query vector and the document vector as a measure of the score of the document for that query. Layman's terms is for any query you search, they can use cosine similarity of a piece of content to quantifiably measure whether that piece of content is actually relevant to a given query. So there's a shortcut that information retrieval systems can use. It can say, hey, for this query, what are the documents that have the highest cosine similarity to it? We should be returning those documents in the search results. So Google's VP of search has written about this. We see a lot of other evidence. If those of you have been kind of following the search industry this year, back in the spring, there was a huge API leak of all these potential variables that Google could be using within the algorithm. while it's not confirmed, there's a lot of speculation, and a lot of the industry believes they're using a lot of these variables in the algorithms, things like click-through rates, things like OCR. One of the big insights was that embeddings were mentioned quite a bit. They're embedding everything. They're embedding page level embeddings, passage level embeddings. They're embedding your entire site. There's actually something called a site focus score, which can show you, hey, what's your site level topic score? And then when are you going off that topic score? Something we're going to get to in a little bit here. The point being here is that there's even more evidence here that Google is using these embeddings, likely using cosine similarity, to measure the relevance of your content. Whether your content is relevant or not is actually, it's not just a qualitative measure. Search engines need to, at scale, figure out if it's a quantitative way to assess it. Cosine similarity is a way for Google and LLMs to be able to do that. Even more evidence here, right? We can see like even the concept of cosine similarity explains a lot of the search features that you see. For years now, people are like, why is Google rewriting my meta descriptions no matter how I set them? Well, cosine similarity would explain that here, right? So here's an example where you type in what is an IP address. It returns this article here, but this meta description. Here you type in a different query. How many versions of an IP address are there? Same article returns, but different meta description. The implications of this is they could use cosine similarity to understand, hey, which meta description should we show? We know that this article is going to rank for a bunch of keywords, but we can't write one meta description can't satisfy all the different ways people search for it. So in order to make the meta description better, we're going to use cosine similarity in order to show the best meta description for users. And with this article, we can see 4 or 5 different ways that Google rewrites the same meta descriptions. We don't have a screenshot here, but people also ask questions, probably a similar formula, right? It's based off of cosine similarity. That's why if you click through, a bunch of people also ask for, less search topics, they start to get kind of weird, kind of strange. We've done it for things with our brand, and it gets off topic pretty quickly. Why? Probably because they're using cosine similarity as a quick proxy in order to show which questions actually serve. This concept not only explains how Google rankings work, but why some of the features are the way that they are. So something pretty big happened when OpenAI came out. They released this ability for you to create your own custom, basically versions of ChatGPT across your own databases. Dan has actually built quite a few. He's built some personal ones. He's built some ones for the Go Fish Digital Company based off our database. So Google came out and said, hey, we have to do the same thing. We have to, we want people building off our technology, right? So we need to have that same functionality. So that was kind of the introduction of Vertex AI. You can use Vertex AI to basically access Google BERT. BERT is Google's transformer, similar to GPT is OpenAI's transformer. BERT is just Google's version. Basically, it's bidirectional, so the transformer can read on either end of a sentence, something that gives it a little bit more flexibility. So Google, the point here is Google has basically opened up their own embedding model, their own worldview, and you can actually use that to run your own content through and test. Hey, is it actually relevant for a target query or not? You can use Google's own AI models in order to do this. So we wrote this blog post here. You can find the link at the bottom here, and we'll send it out in a follow-up as well, where we actually showcased, hey, how you can actually run a script that Dan created. And basically, for a given piece of content, you can type in your keyword, paste a snippet of that content, and you can actually get an assigned similarity score there. So here we tested one out in our Shopify site speed optimization article, where we copied and pasted some of the paragraphs from that. And here we actually get a dedicated score for how similar that is. So it's a good way if you want to do it yourself, right? You can use this script if you're comfortable with a little bit of Python. You can actually use this script to go in and say, hey, I want to use Google's own models to understand how relevant my content is. And this is really, really nice, especially if you want to do it at the passage level or start to just get an idea of like, hey, how does similarity work, and showcase, hey, my content actually might be getting measured in terms of a quantitative measurement. We've actually expanded on this a little bit. We've actually released what's called the Agile Similarity Score extension. It's its own Chrome extension where if we had our target commerce page here, we can actually run the extension on top of it. And let's say, hey, we wanted to say, hey, how does this score for the query Christmas tree? We can use the extension to do that. So you plug in Christmas tree, and then what the extension is going to do is it's going to extract the text, run it through Google's own models, and then it's going to actually heat map out every different section of the page where you can say, hey, is it similar? Is it not? So here you can see target at the very top where it says 1,600 different search results, it has really low similarity against that target keyword because it's not using terms, text that's relevant enough in order to access high degree of similarity. So here on this page, because we're seeing a lot of yellow and orange, this page, this commerce page exhibits very low levels of similarity, and you can use this extension to quickly test against your site or competitor sites. So we're going to start with our next poll here. If you're on the webinar and would like to request early access to the beta of our similarity score extension, please let us know. If you're not able to attend here, you can actually scan this QR code on the very right here. That will actually fill you up to a separate form here, just for those people who weren't able to attend. That's actually going to give you the form to actually be able to go ahead and request that access. So as people fill out the form here, we'll give you all a couple of seconds here. Like I said, what it's going to do, it's going to be at the page level. So for any page, you'll run the extension, type in your target keyword, it'll extract that text, run it through Google's own AI models, and then you'll be able to, one, assess what each individual section of your page. So here on our digital PR page, you can see it gets a score for every single different section of how well optimized it is. That's at kind of the passage level. The second you can do, you can actually get a page similarity score at the bottom. That will assess and average out the embeddings for all of your different sections. That'll be your average page level embedding. You can run it on your site or you can run it on competitor sites. So appreciate everyone kind of responding. We're going to close out the poll here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you ever have questions on that, feel free, you can scan that QR code, and then you can fill out the form for the early access. We're still slowly making adjustments to it as Dan continues to work on it, but it's been a really strong tool that we find effective, especially for analyzing client sites and especially e-commerce sites. Another kind of twist on this is not only are we looking at similarity and embeddings at the page level, but we also are looking at similarity, at cosine similarity at the site level as well. We know that Google, like I mentioned, has their own site focus score variable. Google's likely using that too. So basically, if you're a car insurance site, right, and you write a lot of content about car insurance, Google's going to be able to measure that. And conversely, if you start to write content about recipes or about home workout equipment, Google's going to say, hey, this content, numerically isn't actually relevant to your core topic. We're able to measure that, right? So with this, with what we've also been creating audits around for clients is actually auditing their content similarity at scale. So what this graph does is it's actually a sample site, and we can actually get a numerical representation of how relevant a client site content is compared to their core topic. So here we can actually, what we'll do is scrape down their content, run it through embedding models, and then actually graph it out. And then what we'll actually be able to see is, hey, where's their content overall? Are they writing content that's similar to like what the core business value proposition is? Are they writing content outside of it? And it's a really valuable way to actually be able to analyze, hey, at scale, what is my content generally on par? Am I really talking about the same thing? Or also, where do I have low quality content? Like where have we, we've had this site for 10, 15 years. Where are we starting to go off base? What content do we need to remove? This is a really quality kind of audit that we're able to actually assess content similarity scores at scale. So this brings us to kind of our final poll here, where if you'd like to talk about, a consultation for a semantic content audit like this, we'll bring up this poll and I'm happy to chat about it. Like I said, what it's going to help you do is it's going to help you identify low quality content at scale rate. Once again, where are we writing about content that's not, exactly relevant to like our core business value proposition? It's going to help you do semantic scoring of your content to identify content relevance and similar target keywords, as well as also you can run this and then compare it to competitors. So not only are we talking about, at a site-wide level, are we talking about the same things, right? Well, what are our competitors doing? How do we stack up against, our top 3 to 4 competitors in terms of how well and how focused our content is? So it's a really great option, especially for, sites with larger content libraries, right? Where it's like, hey, are we keeping talking about the same things? Is our content focused? Or where do we have low quality content that we can possibly cut and remove to help improve our search rankings at scale? Cool. Well, appreciate everyone responding. And Dan, I can pass things back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. We're really excited about all those technologies. We're leveraging for a lot of our clients, and we're seeing some big strategic gains for them as they're able to identify not only just like what content needs adjusted and improved, but what content is lower, what pages aren't performing well. But before we ended today, we did want to provide just a few more details about what can we do now while we're waiting for these other technologies to be made available? How can we make decisions that can improve visibility for us in organic search for e-commerce in the short term? So we talked earlier that it mentioned earlier how Google's kind of changed this search landing page and result page experience for e-commerce products. We're seeing lots of filter options. On the bottom screenshot here, you can see is that it's an interesting is there's lots of items on the left and then across the top that users can click on. What really happens, and you guys can test this and see this in your own browsers, like if you click on any of the filter options, it's not actually like making the content different. It's just performing a new query with that modifier. So in the bottom example, it was just a search for meteorite rings. The top screenshot shows you that if you click the black button as the color options, it just creates a new query and loads the page for black meteorite rings. So what that means is that Google is kind of presenting everyone with lots of ways to conduct new queries with just a click of a button instead of having to type in like the different ways that they might think about it by price, by color, by unique features related to the product that you guys are selling. And one of the things is that because it is promoting more in different search queries, we can leverage this information to really help us build strategies to understand where we should be spending time building out new content or improving content. And the way that we can do that is just look inside our Google Search Console data. So in this example, just building off of that idea, one of the things that we like to do is we jump into our clients' e-commerce sites that are doing so. We take the query options from that previous slide that is being presented in the search result page for their particular products. And we'll take something in this example. We just took the word black and made a query modifier that said, hey, I want to see all of the queries that my site's showing up for in the last year that include the word black in it. And then we see the results. And so we can see like, hey, there's a lot of impressions that are happening for this. Is it something that I'm maybe appearing at the bottom of the results because I haven't even created any content or collection pages that target these particular queries? Maybe I need to modify product description pages to be able to really match the specific filter queries because that's the way people are searching and that are being prompted or asked by Google to filter down their results to those additional query sets. With that information, you guys can just to make short-term strategic decisions on where to apply updates for your products that are selling most so that you can be included in more search results. And as your impressions go up, your clicks should follow as well. If you optimize those pages, then your ranking should be improved additionally for the queries that are most likely to be follow-up queries to the products that you might be optimizing for already. Additionally, with these types of technologies is like something that we leverage, but you can also just do kind of with an eyeball and a test as we often see for product listing pages is that there may not be something that is an exact match for the way that Google is thinking and organizing things. In this example, we can see like this dress all the way to the left is scoring semantically a little bit lower than the others. And so it could be a way that we quickly look at content and identify and say, hey, what might not be categorized inside our system to be the best structure and organization for the product that we're listing. Another example of this might be is that oftentimes we'll see e-commerce sites where they will add a tag or a category marker to something because it has like one specific color in it. So if there was like a black dot on a ring, they might categorize that as a black ring. But when you look at Google search results, you can see that Google's really only wanting to promote something that would be the ring would be entirely black. And so there would be a mismatch in terms of the products that you're including in the product listing pages versus what the queries you might be targeting. So really making sure that you have product listing pages that are organized and structured with the content that matches the search results that you're targeting can have a big boost in your performance at that level. And then also it's something that you can do similar to the product listing pages. Are your product names correct? Do you have them organized correctly? Are the descriptions all matching with the queries that you know people are searching for? Should we change the name of the product to include descriptive words? Are there other color options or schema markup that you should be adding to really just help improve the connection to the way that people are searching with those new navigation structure that Google's included in the search results? So generally, we think that there's lots of opportunities. There's technologies that are going to be available to all of you shortly. We're working on building and making a lot of those. And we know that search is changing. AI is rolling out and being integrated into a lot of the things that we're doing. But we believe that the tools that are also being made available by these technologies can help us perform better, more strategic marketing initiatives. And we're excited to bring those to everyone. And for those that signed up for those pages, we'll look to reach out to sign opportunities for that as well. With that, we wanted to just open it up and see if there was any questions from the group. If you want to post a note in chat, Chris and I are happy to answer if anyone has questions for us. We'll see if anyone's got anything for us today. And anything else, Chris, that you wanted to add? We'll see if people had questions for us.
Yeah, I think with a lot of what we're seeing with commerce retailers, I kind of, especially getting back to kind of like the premise of similarity is like the conversations we're having is like, hey, how can we improve similarity at scale, right? It's like we actually wrote an article on Search Engine Land not that long ago about cosine similarity for commerce. And a bunch of the commerce sites that we see doing really well figure out programmatic ways to improve similarity. So if you're looking to say, hey, I'm looking at my commerce score, I want to use some of these principles, right? Maybe I don't have direct access to the extension. How can I do it? Take a look at like the retailers in your SERP space that are like really scaling out their similarities, right? It's like it starts to explain why some of the SEO tactics that we've done for a little bit like tend to work so well. It's like we know that bottom of the page SEO text on commerce sites tends to perform. Why? Now we know because the e-commerce sites that are putting it on there are actually are helping increase their similarity, right? They're putting in a logical place on every category page to improve the scale of it. That's one thing, right? I think the other thing with commerce is a lot of what we're talking about today, and Dan touched on it a bit, is like just how much more structured data merchant feeds mean to commerce retailers than they did even 2 to 3 years ago. As Dan mentioned, we're seeing like Google become your new category page. There's new popular product sections. A lot of those, like, Google's not giving a lot of information on what feeds those. From what we can tell, it's a combination of the structured data on your site, and your Google Merchant Center feeds, and then maybe some basic level of optimization, right? But like your structured data and merchant feeds, like Google, those are cheap to crawl, especially if you have a merchant feed. It's very easy for Google to access. Either helps Google label your content or improve its semantic understanding. For commerce retailers in the search results, those are just becoming more important. Google is becoming your new category page. And as Dan mentioned, we're seeing a flip where it's like, hey, we only used to focus on like, hey, your PLPs before. Now PDPs have a whole new meaning in the Google search results. And we can definitely see that play out, especially in certain industries where Google is just blanketing the search result with products because it's under threat of Amazon. They want to be the new commerce engine. They want to prevent you from going to other third-party listing sites like Walmart, like Amazon.
Yeah, and just Mike Simmons, thanks for the question related to the semantic audit tool. So that audit tool is something that we have to kind of set up and configure and make sure that we're all on the same page. It takes a longer time to run. Essentially, we have to look at every page on your site, process it through that embedding engine. So it does something that we'd have to have a conversation about. So unfortunately, it's not just available to everyone at this time. Is there other questions that have, but if you guys are interested in those tools, happy to set up a conversation and talk to it. One of the big benefits, not only is it of those semantic audits, is we can help identify low performing content that might be scored as low quality by Google. And one of the big advantages we've seen with clients where we've done this for is that they really like to compare themselves to competitors to see, hey, is a competitor actually performing a lot better and in different areas? And are they writing about content that's much more related to the target keywords than we are, and how can we see that in like a visualized graphic space. So it's been very helpful for us and for our clients in terms of building SEO strategies to grow and scale content, as well as make sure that we have the right content of quality. One of the other questions just related to kind of optimizing content. Chris, I know you've been doing a little bit of this just for AI summaries, AI overviews, or even just can we influence ChatGPT search with giving it more specific information? What tests have we seen, and have you got details there?
Yeah. So it's been interesting because ChatGPT used to be it's harder, especially with influencing ChatGPT. It's harder obviously to influence an LLM because it's like, right, it's predicting based on its corpus of knowledge, right? But I think one of the interesting things, especially with the advent of ChatGPT search, is where more traditional SEO even comes more into play. So like a good example we've been able to run on our site is like for best digital PR agencies. Before that, it's like when you type that into ChatGPT, it automatically triggers ChatGPT search. You don't even need to have search turned on. It just automatically knows to do that. And then it basically becomes, for lack of a better term, a wrapper for Bing search. And then what we're able to do is then what you can see is like we had our own article on the best digital PR agencies, and it pulls in from that article, and then we're able to influence that result a little bit. So like before it was pulling in from our article, and for every other digital PR agency, it was pulling in like their notable clients. But it wasn't for us. So we were able to go back, change that content, and then directly in ChatGPT, now when you search the best digital PR agencies, it lists us high up on the list, and it also includes our notable clients. So it's like thinking through like things through that for retailers is also important. With retailers, one, if you're able to have that content, let's say you're a running shoes company, and you wanted to do best Nike running shoes or something like that, having that content natively on your site is going to be big. At least gives you an option to even appear in ChatGPT search, right? The other thing is actually controlling your affiliate sites. The affiliate sites are going through this wild time right now where Google is Google is starting to devalue them as an actual in the rankings, but in terms of things like ChatGPT search, they've never been more valuable. So having a plan, right? So if you're saying, hey, we want to appear in ChatGPT for some of these different queries, these commerce queries, we'll go in and type those in, see if ChatGPT search triggers, and then do you have content that can even appear here? And then do you need to create a plan where you, one, answer those questions, answer more long tail questions, and then also check out your other affiliate partnerships, because affiliate sites, especially for commerce, I was just searching for sweatpants myself using ChatGPT search. And the articles I'm getting quoted back aren't even some direct retailers. Sometimes it's like articles from like Business Insider and other third-party aggregator sites. So like that's also important to know, right? Is the advent of ChatGPT search brings even more traditional SEO elements into this new AI infused world.
Yeah, that's all helpful. And one of the things we talked about earlier was just that voice search and how can we create content related to it. And so it's one of the ways that we can do it, as you mentioned, is like content at the bottom of those product listing pages, really thinking about what the user journey is. At the product description pages, things that we might do is really like smart aggregating and summary of reviews that make it simple and easy for language models to pick up to be able to provide answers for, especially if we think that people are going to be asking language models for like specific results just for their needs. In the example I provided earlier, it was like, I have a 17-year-old son. What do 17-year-olds say about that? So if there's any type of signals you have in data in terms of like, this goes well, if there's comments that people leave, like I gave these shoes to my son and he loved them, and the reviews, you can use some of these language models tools to help aggregate and cluster the results and then present that information back on your product description pages. We have some of the technologies and tools to help navigate that process. If it's something that you're interested in too, our team can have a conversation about like what that would look like. How can we add that product detail for you at that level, and how do we organize it and create content that can be used by search engines and future language models and even voice search as people are shifting their buyer journeys to different structures. Does anyone have other questions before we close out? Well, if not, we're glad everybody attended today. We appreciate your time and hopefully that you learned something. Feel free to shoot us a note or add us on LinkedIn, and we will go from there. So thanks again, and looking forward to seeing some of you guys in the future.
Thanks, everyone.